Hello and welcome. Hello and welcome. You're watching Today in Parliament with me, Aishwarya. Here are the Parliament headlines. Discussion on Central Sanskrit University's bill to continue in Rajya Sabha. Introduction of National Commission for Indian System of Medicine Bill 2019 and the National Commission for Homeopathy Bill 2019 likely today. Further discussion on Direct Tax Vivad Se Vishwas Bill 2020 in Lok Sabha. The Banking Regulation Amendment Bill 2020 listed for introduction today. House to also take up discussion and voting on demands for grants under the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment for 2020-21. And standing committees reports on various ministries including health, tourism, agriculture, social justice to be presented in Rajya Sabha. 14th report of the Business Advisory Committee to be presented in Lok Sabha. First up, a look at the legislative business in Rajya Sabha. The Rajya Sabha will today take up the National Commission for Indian System of Medicine Bill 2019 for consideration and passing. The bill aims to provide for a medical education system that improves access to quality and affordable medical education and promote equitable and universal health care that makes medical services accessible to all citizens. Union Minister Shripad Yesso Nayak will also move the National Commission for Homeopathy Bill 2019, which is aimed to ensure the availability of adequate and high-quality homeopathy medical professionals. The House will also continue further discussion on the Central Sanskrit University's Bill 2019. The bill was introduced by HRD Minister Ramesh Pokhriyal Nishank yesterday and is intended to convert 3 deemed to be Sanskrit universities into Central Sanskrit Universities. And the Lok Sabha is also slated to take up a number of bills today. The Direct Tax Vivad Se Vishwas Bill 2020 is listed for further discussion in the Lok Sabha. Also listed for consideration and passing is the Aircraft Amendment Bill 2020 to amend the Aircraft Act 1934. This bill will be moved by Union Minister Hardeep Singh Puri. And the Banking Regulation Amendment Bill 2020 is listed for introduction today. This bill aims to further amend the Banking Regulation Act 1949. The House will also take up a discussion and voting on the demands for grants under the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment for 2020-21. Kriti Mishra is now joining us live from Parliament. Kriti, yesterday we saw, as far as Rajya Sabha is concerned, that there was sloganeering and protests by the opposition parties. But HRD Minister introduced the Central Sanskrit University's Bill 2019. This is a very important bill, seeks to convert 3 deemed to be Sanskrit universities into Central Sanskrit universities. And, the discussion is going to continue on that bill. Also, there's going to be introduction of 2 bills related to medicine in our country today. What more can you tell us about what is likely to happen in the Rajya Sabha today?
Well, absolutely, Aishwarya. Yesterday we saw disruptions in the upper house. But remember, Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu gave a very didactic message. He urged an appeal to all political parties to ensure that normalcy and peace is restored in the national capital post the violence that we witnessed. He also said that after speaking to all sides, there would be a day, and also ensured the members that there would be discussion to ensure how to prevent such cases of violence in future. So that's a very important message that came in from Chairman of the upper house. And also, as you've mentioned, that a very important bill, which is the Central Sanskrit University's bill, that was introduced in the House yesterday by the HRD Minister. Now today we expect that discussion is likely to continue on this important bill, and there are 2 important bills that will be clubbed together and taken up together for discussion and for passage. That is the National Commission for Indian System of Medicine and also the National Commission for Homeopathy, to ensure that there is accessible and affordable access to quality education in India, and also to ensure that there is availability of homeopathy doctors, to ensure universal health coverage. There's another important discussion in the upper house slated to be taken up, which is the discussion on the working of Ministry of Railways. Remember, in the last few years, we've seen novel avenues for the railways, right from private trains for connecting the iconic tourist spots and also the solar-powered train, as well as in the budget, we saw the announcement of Krishi Rail. So these are important developments related to Ministry of Railways. So this is a very important discussion that would take place in the upper house today. Aishwarya?
And Kriti, talking about Lok Sabha, of course, in the lower house also there were disruptions seen yesterday. But as far as today is concerned, there is going to be a further discussion on direct tax Vivad Se Vishwas bill in the Lok Sabha. Of course, this was one of the things that, Finance Minister had mentioned in her budget speech. And also another bill is going to be introduced, that is the banking regulation bill, which is, which looks to strengthen the regulatory framework of the cooperative banks. So these two key bills are going to take up for discussion, and also there's going to be discussion and voting on demands for grants under the Ministry of Social Justice. How do you look at the day panning out as far as the Lok Sabha is concerned?
Well, Aishwarya, what we've been hearing since morning is that Speaker of the Lok Sabha, Om Birla, has held parleys with different political parties in order to break the impasse that we witnessed in the House yesterday. And as you've mentioned that today, important bills are slated to be taken up. So it is hoped that there is some kind of truce between all sides to ensure that all these important bills are taken up for discussion and passage. As you've mentioned, there's one very important bill that would be introduced in the upper house, which is the Banking Regulation Amendment Bill, to further strengthen the edifice of cooperative banking in India and to ensure that there is effective regulation by Reserve Bank of India on the cooperative banks. And also, as you've mentioned, there is direct taxes Vivad Se Vishwas scheme that was announced by Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman in her budget speech in order to ensure that there is dispute resolution of more than 480,000 cases pertaining to direct taxes in various tribunals, the High Court as well as the Supreme Court. Remember, more than 9 lakh crore rupees are logged in such litigations. So this is a very important bill that would be taken up for consideration and passage. And there's another important bill, which is the Aircraft Amendment Bill, in order to enhance the safety standards in the civil aviation space of India. So these are the important bills that are slated to be taken up in the Lok Sabha, as well as discussion on the demands for grants for the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment as well. Aishwarya?
All right, Kriti, thank you so much for those details. We hope that peace will prevail in both houses of parliament so that the legislative business and other business in both houses can continue. And in some other business in the upper house, following ministers will lay papers pertaining to their ministries today. Let's take a look at them. Dr. Harshvardhan for the Ministry of Science and Technology. Shripad Yesso Naik for the Ministry of Ayush. Anurag Singh Thakur for the Ministry of Finance. And several reports of the department-related Parliamentary Standing Committee on various ministries will also be presented in the House today. These include Parliamentary Standing Committee reports on health and family welfare, industry, transport, tourism and culture, agriculture, cultural affairs, rural development, social justice and empowerment, and urban development. And following ministers will lay papers in the Lok Sabha today. Giriraj Singh for the Ministry of Fisheries, Animal Husbandry and Dairying. Arjun Ram Meghwal for the Ministry of Heavy Industries and Public Enterprises. Danve Rao Saheb Dada Rao for the Ministry of Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution. G. Kishan Reddy for the Ministry of Home Affairs. Parshottam Rupala for the Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers' Welfare. Sanjeev Kumar Balyan for the Ministry of Fisheries, Animal Husbandry and Dairying. Nityanand Rai for the Ministry of Home Affairs. And Ratan Lal Kataria for the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment. And standing committee reports pertaining to various ministries including Agriculture, External Affairs, Urban Development, Rural Development, Social Justice and Empowerment, Industry, Tourism and Health and Family Welfare will also be presented in the House today. And also, Minister G. Kishan Reddy will make a statement regarding the status of implementation of the Standing Committee report on Home Affairs, on action taken by the government on the recommendations on administration and development of Lakshadweep. Minister Nityanand Rai will make a statement on the implementation of observations contained in the Standing Committee report on Home Affairs on working conditions in border guarding Central Armed Police Forces, which include BSF, ITBP, Sashastra Seema Bal and Assam Rifles. Rai will also make another statement on working conditions in non-border guarding Central Armed Police Forces, which include the CRPF, CISF and NSG. And members Prahlad Joshi and Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary will present the 14th report of the Business Advisory Committee. And with that, we wrap up this edition of Today in Parliament. Do stay tuned. The proceedings of the Upper House are going to commence in a short while from now. Thanks so much for your time.